we come to collect. Did it all on my own, yeah. When it brought it back home, yeah. Now they calling my phone, yeah. But I'm all in my zone. They not a threat. Tell them reset. When they're at their best, we still not impressed.
Yo, it's your boy TDs with Unfiltered Hoops. To the left of me, I got my boy Zach. Zach, how you living?
Living the dream, man.
There we go. Today we got a lot of insight that we want to talk about from both boys and girls side of things. A lot of updates from games that we've seen, some players that we've seen to come just put in work like we expected, and some players and teams that we think are going to move up in the ranks. So we're going to let Zach talk about it. We had some time to watch some boys games, and we just want to get some insight from Zach, what you've seen, and kind of give us an update on all the local teams that we've been covering.
All right, man. So I think the first game, we actually went to some preseason games over at Northport. That was girls, but we're going to start with boys. The first game we went to was Northport versus Riverview, and I think Northport kind of just
dropped the ball.
I think the youth showed in that game.
Yeah.
I mean, I was surprised, honestly, to see. I mean, they played well. They played hard. Matt has them playing hard. And, they just kind of gave it away in the fourth quarter, but Riverview's an experienced team, so, they got that on their side, and it showed late in the fourth. So Northport 1-2. We watched them play Riverview, lost in OT, double OT.
Yeah, but double, almost triple. But they pulled away. Riverview pulled away with a couple of clutch free throws at the end, and honestly, that was kind of the determining factor of that game is turnovers and free throws. Riverview living the turnovers. They made a couple more free throws. Northport made more turnovers and couldn't hit their free throws when they needed to, and that was kind of the deciding factor of that game.
I'm not going to lie. The one-legged buzzer beater, though.
Yeah. Hey, shout out to Moses, man. He had a one-legged buzzer beater. Hey, a bank at the last second.
A couple people that surprised me on Northport, Jordan Nelson.
Yep. Played really well.
It's unfortunate that Northport will be without him for, I think, 6 weeks, he said.
Yeah, 4 to 6 weeks. So we'll see how, some of the younger players, like we said, that hasn't really experienced that varsity, step up and see what they can do for the team. And, prayers out to Jordan. Hope he recovers well and he can get back to playing again.
Another player I want to talk about, Caden Racine.
Yep.
Some people might not know him that well, but he's shooting it well for them. Musa is playing well. I think he's a good fit down there in Northport.
Yep, and he's been averaging a double-double. I think we got him on our top 15 preseason players to watch, and so far he's been showing exactly why he should be on the list. So
and there was a lot of people making noise that he was on the list, and I think he honestly solidified himself on the list. We watched Charlotte play. Charlotte's 2-0. They blew out Northport, but I mean that's expected. Charlotte's kind of a powerhouse in the area, and you were also at the Charlotte versus Manatee game, so kind of fill us in on that.
That was, slow start for Charlotte. Manatee kind of got out, started to play a little bit, but again, with a powerhouse team like that, anyone can go off. And the biggest part, I think the biggest sequence was probably I don't know. I think Charlotte went on kind of like a third quarter run where literally, I think they scored 10 points in literally 12, 15 seconds. Just the dynamics, Gianni comes down, dunks, runs back, gets a block, kicks out to Atia for a three, come back, get a stop. Ja Chen hits another three, and then it's that team is just so dynamic. So, as expected, we expected Charlotte to come out on a hot start, and they're definitely probably in tune to make another state run. So,
from what I've seen and what I've gathered on Charlotte the past two games, they kind of start slow.
Yep.
Going into half at Northport, it was a 10-point game, I believe.
Yeah, and it's crazy, too, because it was back. At one point, Northport was actually up early in the game where you're just kind of oh, this might be one of those games where Northport hits a couple more shots, this game could turn over. And then, whatever Mike told them in the locker room second half, they came out. And that's the same thing that kind of happened in Manatee. It was a kind of a slow start. I don't know if it's the jitters, if it's just because, you have a home crowd and Charlotte always bring their community out. Guys are rallied up and probably just doing some stuff that, maybe they shouldn't be doing just to try to impress someone. But, second half they settled down and, they did what they were supposed to do. And so not surprised about how Charlotte's playing right now.
Next, we got Port Charlotte. We haven't been able to catch them yet. They played one game, and where is it? Discovery. I think that's over on the East Coast.
Yeah, I think so.
They actually lost by like 8, I believe.
Yep, came down to the wire. But Discovery's a very, very good program. So let's, Port Charlotte still don't have some of their key players, because you're in football making a run. So, we'll be at the game, what is it, Monday? Or
The 3rd, December 3rd. It's Port Charlotte at Northport.
Yeah, they're at Northport. So we'll be able to watch Port Charlotte. And honestly, I think Port Charlotte still is going to have the upside. I think, Kip is going to put a game plan together. It's probably going to be one of those little chippy games too. You got 2 transfers from Port Charlotte now playing at Northport. So it's kind of a little bit of a rival game. So excited to see that game and kind of see what Coach Matt brings versus Coach Kip. Both experienced coaches. So we'll definitely be in attendance for that game and see, may the best team win.
And then next we got Venice. Venice went to Sarasota and got ugly.
Yeah.
Venice is still missing football guys. I believe two guys that will help them out once that is over. I believe all the teams are playing the regional final tonight for football, so you'll kind of get an idea when you get them back. They beat IMG, Black, and Canterbury, and I'm not sure how good these IMG teams are that some of these schools play.
They have multiple.
To me, I don't see a point in playing IMG, Black, Gold, Blue, Silver. I just think if you're not playing one of the better teams, what are you really getting out of it? Some of these kids pay to go to IMG and they don't even.
Right. Yeah.
It's kind of just a waste, but to each its own. Sarasota beat Venice and a great win. They beat Santa Fe Catholic.
Yeah, which is another very, very good program. I think they got one of the players is I forget his name, but I think he's a division.
Tate Garner.
Yeah. So there you have it. I mean, kudos to BJ. Like we always said, he's doing a great job.
Me and Teddy talked about this before we started this today. Pretty much, as far as our top 5, it's pretty much spot on. Gateway Charters, obviously shown why they're number 1.
Yep.
Charlotte, probably I would put them at 2 now, if anything.
Yep.
Sarasota, easy 3. Johnny Lackoff has been.
Sophomore going crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, and we've talked about Johnny. We've talked about him in the top 15, and some players still, was either jealous or thought that he shouldn't be that high. But this is a sophomore.
I think he had 30 against IMG National.
IMG National. Against the Santa Fe, he made the game-winning layup. I'm pretty sure he easily probably had over 20, but the ball is in his hand, and this is a sophomore. The ball is in his hand with 5 seconds to go. He gives them a go-ahead layup. So, we haven't got to really see Palmetto play, but we've seen the highlights.
Yeah, they played one game. They played IMG Silver, which, again, I don't know how good that team was. I mean, they blew them out, so I would imagine they're not.
Right.
But Palmetto is a good team.
Yeah, and we spoke about them. I mean, very athletic. They have everyone on their team can, move their feet. They get out in transition. We got Evan Roberts, of course, and then now his brother, Chris, he's starting to make his freshman campaign. So just having those 2 brothers on the team around, athleticism, it'll be hard to beat. But as far, like Zach said, as far as our top 5, pretty much spot on. We see Venice probably going to drop out of that, and Port Charlotte's probably going to end up moving up. But, again, we haven't really seen Port Charlotte play. They lost to Discovery. A very, very good program, but we'll get to see them on the 3rd and, kind of see how that goes.
And then we got Riverview, who honestly I'm a little disappointed in. I think they were in our top 5, weren't they?
No. We didn't have them in our top 5.
Riverview, I thought they would be better. I thought that truthfully, I thought they were going to handle Northport a little bit better. Northport being super young.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe they thought they were just going to come in and Northport was going to roll over for them. But Northport plays hard. That's expected when you're young and hungry. That's what you do.
And it's the first, home opener. You're not going to just come out there lackadaisical. It's home opener. Some of these guys haven't played varsity. It's Coach Matt's first game. Just a lot of tension around that entire situation. But yeah, I was a little disappointed in Riverview. Granted, both teams were in foul trouble. I'm pretty sure both teams' top players ended up fouling out. But I thought Riverview would be a lot more well coached. I think there's a lot of stuff they were doing where I'm just like, that doesn't even make sense. But, hats off to them. They ended up pulling away with the W. So, yeah.
And then they beat Lakewood Ranch, which Lakewood Ranch, is having a little coaching change and trying to find themselves. And they lost to Gateway Charter and IMG Gold, which I imagine IMG Gold is one of the higher teams.
Yeah.
And like I said, I don't know.
And honestly, I mean, although Riverview did lose by, I think it was like 28 or 30 to Gateway, I believe the first half, it was very tight. I had a couple of people I know that went to the game down there, and they were telling me, like, yo, this Riverview team is playing. But, I mean, Gateway being Gateway, I'm pretty sure, they're good enough to kind of turn it on when they want. And, the second half just kind of proved how good they really are. But I think Riverview is starting to get it. I think as they start to play with each other, under a new coach again, they've been going through a lot of coaching changes.
I think it's 3 in 3 years.
Yeah,
or 3 in 4 years,
something like that, which is always crazy. That's always bad for a program. But I think they'll get kind of in the groove of things and pick it up from there. But we'll see as the season goes on.
And then the last team, Gateway Charter, 3-0, beat Providence, great team. Beat Wharton, great team. Beat Riverview, another solid team. So. Yeah, I mean, Gateway Charter is going to be a problem. Yeah,
I see they play Port Charlotte, so that'll be a good matchup to see. I think they play next week. I mean, still, I think Gateway is probably still the number one team. So, they probably go in the game. A lot of people expecting to win, but you can never just go into Port Charlotte and think
I'm telling you right now, they think they're going to walk in there and
yeah.
it's going to be a cakewalk.
Yeah, Kip gonna have some tricks up his sleeve.
Hey,
so
one little leg kick from Kip and it's up.
Yeah,
sure.
so that'll definitely be a great game to see. Great quality basketball as well. A lot of execution is probably going to be that's probably what's going to win the game. Execution at the end of the day. Both teams are disciplined, so kind of be cool to kind of see that game live. And I'm pretty sure we'll be there. So
yeah, and I'll tell you one thing though. If Port Charlotte, if they're not scoring, they are still going to play defense.
Yep.
Like.
Don't be surprised the game is like 38-35.
I'm not going to lie, though. One thing I've noticed about Port Charlotte, and this is year after year, is like early on in the season, you see them holding teams to 30, 35, 40 points. And then later on in the season, you see them start dropping games. And I've told multiple people, early on in the season, defense is going to win games because teams are still, putting in offenses, trying to get their motion in.
Yep.
And all this stuff. But once you're later in the season, you're hitting shots. Everyone's, in the gym shooting every day, got all their sets down. That's when you see Port Charlotte, I think, struggle a little bit. So we'll see what happens this year. They got Landon LaFriends, Caden Suber, Dallas Lambert, Isaiah Jenkins.
Yep.
I mean, Marcus Nestor. I mean, they got players that can play. It's imagine just putting it together.
And players that have been playing for a long time with each other. I mean, most of these kids either have played AAU in middle school or they played, they played high school together and all that type of stuff. So they have years of experience of playing, so it'd be very excited to finally get to see. I mean, I've seen them play in the preseason Swiffle Series showcase, but to see real season now where like these games do matter as you start to make your district and regional state runs. So all these games will definitely matter. But without that, I mean, we'll transition to girls.
One more thing, there's a lot of teams obviously that are probably not on this list. Barron Collier, Naples, a lot of schools down south. I mean, we just haven't been down there yet. Thanksgiving was this week, so we just kind of stayed local, checked out what local teams had to offer. So we are following the teams down there, and we plan to actually come to some games within the next couple weeks. And we'll see a lot of these teams play at the Wally Keller too, which will definitely be a good thing that we'll have an episode about as well. So without further ado, Teddy will kind of get into the girls' side of what happened this week.
Yeah, so we got I got to watch Charlotte play a little bit. Charlotte girls are now 3-0. They beat Sarasota, they beat Lely, and they just beat Plant. And this is something that we talked about in our first episode of Anthony Bryant being a new coach. One of the star players leaves, but he has CC Bills and her leadership. I mean, as a sophomore, she's doing unbelievable things, but we expected that out of her. If she doesn't perform, that team doesn't do good, and so far she's been performing. So happy to see they're off to a fast start. It's always great going into the holidays being 3-0. That's a lot of stress off of Anthony to be able to just say he's 3-0 and go back to the drawing boards and keep getting those wins. Port Charlotte, they're what 2-0.
1-1.
Oh, 1-1. They beat Booker, which I heard was a chippy game. Came down to the wire. Yep, last second. I believe Haley Cohen hit the last two free throws.
Yeah, well, I think they ended up winning by 10, but I mean, went to overtime. So,
but after a couple fouls, free throws, you're trying to get back in the game. So, again, another player that we talked about in our top 15. Here she is again. Kind of carrying the team. I think Jess Santos had a huge game as well.
23 points.
So that we did not have Jess on our top 15. So don't be surprised if she makes her way on that top 15 because she's been playing extremely well, and I got to see her a little bit in the preseason. And then they played Mooney. Lost. I think Mooney beat them by 30.
I just want to add a disclaimer. No local basketball team in this area is going to even come close to beating Mooney this year. And if there is a problem with that, argue with your mama. Because, I mean, that team...
The team is good. Like, there's no way around it. But, kudos to Mike for even putting his girls in that position. I mean, I'm pretty sure those girls came in with the confidence to win, but it's just when you have so much talent on one team, it's very hard to try to win. But nonetheless, I think Port Charlotte is still going to be good in this area. They're still going to make their district run, regionals. Hell, they may even make a state run. So happy to see them continue to play. I'm surprised that even Mooney scheduled them. So that kind of just shows you the respect that Coach Marlin and Coach Mike have for each other to even be on the schedule, because if you look at Mooney's schedule, I think they're playing like 2 or 3 local teams.
Venice,
Riverview, and
Port
PC.
Charlotte, yeah.
Every other game is literally they're traveling, playing the top ranked teams, within their respected areas. So, hey, Port Charlotte girls, keep working. We're happy to see you guys play. I'm sure we'll be able to catch some of the games this year. Yeah, Booker. Booker's what?
1-1.
1-1. We just covered a little bit. They lost to Port Charlotte in overtime. Still, under a new coach with Ty Bryant. Got a couple of transfers in, so they're probably still
One
trying.
girl from Mooney, right?
Yeah, one girl from Mooney, Bree, and then Kennedy transferred from Riverview to Booker. So it's just, I think they're still finding their identity. I think this team is going to be good. It's just a matter of filling in the pieces early on in the season. Kind of how Zach mentioned on the boys' side is just, trying to put in sets, motion, seeing who can fit in which situation and all of that. So I think once they kind of get that situated, we'll start to see Booker, come around and start beating teams. And then it looks like they beat IMG Blue. I haven't really seen IMG Blue play. I don't think you've seen them either.
Nah, it's one of those things, they just kind of put teams together, hey, here's $10,000, let me go to IMG.
Yep. So, can't really determine how good Booker has been. They've only played 2 games. I know it's early on, but it's always good to kind of see how the programs are doing. Next, we have Northport. They're 2-2. So it looks they lost to Lemon Bay and Gateway Charter. Then they turned around and beat Gateway and Cypress. Again, a young team. I feel like, Curtis is kind of doing what he can with what he has. And unfortunately,
we actually saw Northport play in preseason, and Abby McKelvey.
Yep, she's a freshman. Yep.
Probably will be a top player in the area within the next couple years. Riley Richards already probably a top player, one of the better players in the area.
Mm-hmm.
So, they're kind of being led by both them.
Freshmen and sophomores, playing varsity 7A basketball. I mean, that's just kind of how it goes. When you look at some of these other programs that got juniors and seniors who's done this before, that playing experience is definitely a key factor in a lot of programs. Like, if you haven't played varsity before, it's kind of hard to kind of get in the groove of things. But to see Abby step up right away as a freshman, I mean, Riley started, her freshman year last year as a varsity player. So you got at least one girl with experience, but now you got a freshman that it seems like she's already played varsity a little bit. So we're going to keep track of Northport. They're in a tough district with, the
Venice.
Riverview and the Venice. Not sure how good Lehigh is going to be.
Sarasota.
You got Sarasota. We saw
Northport Lehigh play.
Yeah, we did see that. We did see them in the
Northport
preseason. Northport won. So that'll be something interesting going into district play and seeing how both coaches kind of come up with game plans since they've already seen each other. Next one we have Mooney. They're 2-2 right now. They lost to Miami Country Day along with Winter Haven. Again, two top teams within their districts that we're probably going to see them in Lakeland. Miami Country Day, I mean, I think this has been kind of a back and forth thing. I believe they played them last year.
I think in the championship, right?
Either the semifinal, I think it was the Final Four. They played each other, and Miami Country Day got the best of Mooney. So again, Mooney comes back and try to play. Miami Country Day got the best of them, but again, these are two highly respected programs. They're going to definitely make a state run. Winter Haven, I heard that game was really in Mooney's hand. I heard Mooney was up by like 15, 18 points. And whatever happened in second half, coaches made adjustments on the Winter Haven side. Winter Haven came on top. Again, Winter Haven's probably going to win states this year. So
it's early in the season, too.
Yeah.
I think those teams play again in a month and a half.
And it could be a split. Mooney may get the best of both of them. And then Mooney comes back. They beat Port Charlotte.
And Providence.
And
which
Providence.
is also a top. They beat Providence, I think, by like 14, 15.
Yeah.
And Providence is
and then Maddie drops 30. A sophomore. So I think Mooney is, I mean, they got to schedule the hardest schedule just to see how good this program is. And it kind of give them a forecast of, the kind of state run that they're trying to make. And honestly, like Zach said, I don't see a local team being able to play at Mooney. It's just that simple. There's a reason why their schedule is hard as it is. And once they drop the strength of schedule, we will really see who's playing who and who's actually out here competing.
I mean, I'm going to tell you right now, strength of schedule for Mooney is going to be at least in the 20s.
Yeah, it has to be.
And, yeah,
it has to be. Next team is Venice, one of another top 5 team that we had as preseason. They've only played one game against IMG and they won by I think 8 or 9. Tessa was the leading scorer. We're not surprised by that. She's going to have to carry the load this year and be able to produce day in and day out, be very efficient, stay out of foul trouble, and be injury free. And as long as she's healthy, I think she's going to be the glue to that team to kind of have the other pieces that they have around them to be successful. But we haven't really seen them play as much. We'll definitely be at some of the games. Obviously, they're in the Riverview, Northport district, so. A lot of local teams will be able to kind of watch as district play starts to roll out.
Lemon Bay?
Lemon Bay is off to a 2-1?
2-0.
2-0. They beat Northport, which I heard Northport actually was up by like 12, 13 points at half. Coaching adjustments, whatever was made in the second half. Maya Collins, another player that we forgot off the top 15, but she's been playing exceptionally well. So don't be surprised if that name pops up on our top 15. I think she's been averaging probably like 20 points, 8 rebounds or something like that. But it seems like she was the one that kind of brought them over the hump and with a victory over Northport. And they also beat St. John Newman. I haven't heard too much about them.
I haven't.
But Lemon Bay's off to a fast start. They're 2-0. So we'll be able to watch some of those games. I definitely want to watch Maya play, her senior year and really see how good she really is. And the last team is Riverview. I mean, they're 1-0. They blew out Wiregrass. I thought that was expected. I saw the first half. The game was kind of slow. I'm just like, the Riverview just started off very slow, but I think it was a 3-hour drive and all of the other stuff that, all the factors of traveling kind of came in. But second half, they turned it up and, they blew out Wiregrass. So, again, I felt like that was expected. They did what they needed to do. Some notable players to watch on that team is Taylor Davidson, sophomore, and Ava Noto, both sophomores. I think both of them had 15 and 8, 15 and 10 double-doubles. To win that game over Wiregrass. So excited to see them play in their sophomore year and see how much they can do. for the Riverview program and see how far it takes him. So,
And from the girls' games that we saw, I mean, me and him kind of talked about it a little bit. Wasn't the prettiest thing, and we talked about, a lot of girls just need to focus on more player development.
yeah, I think it's as a player development coach, and like I'm just thinking of like in the summers when I'm training kids. I mean, 9 times out of 10, it's really the boys. It's just like I don't know if girls don't take it serious enough. I don't know if they just think like because they're good enough on their team that they can just come back, once preseason start and they know their spot's not going to get taken. I don't know what it is, but it definitely is something that I think it needs to be more focused on as the player development. I mean, I've just seen.
We were watching travels, double dribbles, walking with the ball.
Yeah, I've seen too many jump balls. Like, to have that many jump balls in like a varsity game is like kind of eye opening, because at that point it's like you don't know how to retreat dribble. You know what I mean? You're not using your pivots. You're just like letting another girl tie up the ball, jump ball. Then you go to the other end, tie up the ball, jump ball, and it's like back and forth, back and forth.
And I'm watching like 3, 4, 5 attempts under the basket, just throwing it up, and I'm like, damn.
Like no power dribbles, there's no pivots, there's no pump fakes, there's no getting parallel to the basket. I mean, that's what I've seen a lot from like the girls' side. Boys' side, I mean, we've seen high-level basketball, but we've also seen a lot of pointless turnovers. Like, I'm pretty sure a lot of coaches don't tell their players to dribble the ball in the corner and then pick it up. Like, that doesn't happen. Or dribble right past half court and get caught in the dummy zones. Like, those are stuff where I'm like, all right, I know the coaches don't teach this, but the players are continuing to do it. And that's just a lack of IQ, player development, and probably 9 times out of 10, a lot of these girls and boys probably aren't even watching basketball, really. There was a high-level college, games being played these past couple of weeks.
All the way till March.
Yeah.
Every weekend.
Girls basketball, high level. Like, if you want to be one of those top players or go to these programs, like, watch the teams like UCLA, UCS, South Carolina, Duke, like all these Stanford, all these girls programs that are really good. Like, watch how they play basketball. And I'm not saying, like, you're going to magically turn into one of those players overnight. But to just have the common sense of, like, being able to jump stop, pass fake, those type of things, like, you can learn on your own.
And all them probably hone in on player development.
Yeah, without a doubt.
They're not just going in the gym and just, throwing up shots, one-leggers, stuff like that. It's very methodical in what they're trying to do every time they go. I mean, you see it in the girls that excel at a high level in this area. And then there's girls who have talent, but you see, when they go against higher level girls who are more developed than them, that's where you kind of see the exposure of the lower level player. So,
well, that wraps up this episode of Unfiltered Hoops. Thank you everyone for liking, subscribing, giving us feedback. We love it. We hope to see pretty much all these teams play and give you guys updates, analytics, and continue from there. So,
and we hope y'all have a good Thanksgiving. Enjoy it with your families. Don't take family for granted. So, eat a lot of food, but make sure y'all run or do something after, because I know some of these teams, when they get back to practice this weekend, but all right, we'll catch y'all later, man.
All right.
We come to collect.